Another world premiere at Toyota. This is here the Toyota CHR Plus, an all-new vehicle indeed. The name is kind of, known already, CHR, but CHR Plus indicates that this is here the EV version of the CHR. However, it is on a different platform, and everything you need to know about this one here now with Thomas and Autogefuehl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front, which has this really sharp Toyota design these days, and it does remind us from the design of the combustion engine or hybrid CHR. Indeed, I think it works actually quite well. Sporty lower front here also with this with this honeycomb dot design, so to speak. But as I said, this is more on a technological basis, more similar to the Toyota BZ4X, the bigger brother, because this one here is a little bit smaller at 4 meters 52 or 178 inches. Yeah, that's correct. Wheels 18 or 20 inch. These here, once again, the 20-inch wheels, so the bigger ones actually, if you want more show effect. However, the smaller wheels will give you more range and, of course, also more riding comfort. The CHR, it means, by the way, coupe high rider, so indicating it's a coupe somewhat, but it's also a crossover. And that is this very significant tail end here, which has this coupe-like form, really dramatic design lines once again. There will be either front-wheel drive models or also all-wheel drive models. Front-wheel drive with a small battery, 58 kilowatt hours. These are all gross figures, however. And the bigger battery, 77 kilowatt hours, like the BZ4X update, which we also were showing here to you. You can also check out the video later. So 77 kilowatt hours, the bigger battery, and that one available with front-wheel drive. Always all-wheel drive, and then if it's the all-wheel drive version, also says here AWD. I should not kill myself here. There we go, AWD, and then it is at 5.2 seconds in the acceleration figure and 343 horsepower. That is the most powerful version. Interesting to know is also that recharging 11 or in the higher trims 22 kilowatt AC and 150 kilowatt DC charging, 10 to 80% is about 30 minutes. It's nothing special, but also not super bad. The Tesla Model Y would, for example, be in the same region. But this one here, size-wise, indeed, between the Urban Cruiser, recently revealed, the smallest EV so far, and the Toyota BZ4X, which is a little bit larger than this one. So Toyota wants to put an electric vehicle in each segment that customers have the choice actually. And then if, for example, you say, hey, I'm driving a CHR combustion engine, now I want to switch to electric, then this is more like a smoother transition for you. Light strip goes all the way through here, and I think we can once again expect a top speed of about 160 kilometers an hour or 100 miles per hour, but of course we have to see about that one later. Not all the facts and figures about this vehicle are out yet, but it's also very interesting to check out the interior right now. And now Michael Jackson joined us on stage. No, it's Sasha actually. He is helping us with opening the vehicle because it's a prototype and only officials are allowed to open the doors and so on. So first glimpse to the rear and a little bit of the cockpit, and we'll take you on a nice tour of the interior right now. There we go, and Michelle can take a look at the interior while I go around of this vehicle. What's interesting, by the way, is in comparison to the CHR combustion engine, this vehicle is more rigid from the chassis and also has a lower center of gravity, but yet again, of course, higher in weight. So then, thank you so much. So I can get on the interior. There we go. Door is closed again. Yeah, there's like sometimes a special rule for first hand-built vehicles that you are not allowed to open and close the doors yourself. So here the interior, also different from the BZ4X in a way. Here with nice ambient lighting integration, for example. I also like this special new dash, and you see here the airbag is integrated in here, although it's like this hard material and like a little bit structured. So that's actually pretty fancy. Then here also some structure at the dashboard. It does not look like it has a glove box, so that seems to be the same like in the BZ4X. Yeah, indeed. The seats here are some kind of, let's say, fabric microfiber mix. So it's more microfiber style in gray, integrated head restraint style, but it's not an integrated head restraint. You see here, you can also put it a little bit higher. And then when I find position here, let's see, here 1 meters 89, 602, some space left here. It's a fixed glass roof. You can apply this shade there if it's like really hot in summer days, for example. The steering wheel, we know, for example, from the Toyota Prius or from the Toyota BZ4X, It looks really large from this whole column. However, the steering wheel itself is kind of slim and has a good grip handle. And you see the instruments are placed relatively high. So then they say, we don't need a head-up display because the instruments are also in your line of sight. And they're also very far away from your eyes. And so there's less focus difference between looking on the road and looking at the instruments. 14-inch infotainment. You can also set it to a dark mode, for example. That would also be possible. And here, these climate knobs in the final vehicle, you will be able to turn them. This is like a static show car here only, but you can here turn them right and left, and then they change. It's like a blending of analog and digital world. But then steering wheel heating and so on will be in the infotainment system. What else do they offer now? They now offer these route charging planning, that you just enter a destination, then the charging planning is automatically being done. And there's also battery preconditioning available. You can actually enable that manually in the screen, but also it's done automatically when you set a next destination or something like that. And this vehicle also features a heat pump. Metal console with 2 inductive charging pads. They are not ventilated though, so the phones might overheat. And then putting in the gears is pressing down, D, pressing down, and reverse for left. Adaptive cup holders here. They will be adaptive. This is just like a static show. It's really like a model, so to speak. And also here, this one will be opened like this or like this. So some similarities indeed to the BZ4X. So if you soon check out the BZ4X episode, you will see some of the stuff I cannot get to work here now. They are in that vehicle in motion, actually. Yeah, but very interesting so far. And the seat config is actually good and it's very comfortable. Now maybe Sasha lets me out. Thank you so much. And then I can move over to the rear and check out the legroom and so on. There we go. Thank you. So now we move over. And you remember maybe that in the BZ4X you have a lot of legroom. This is a way shorter vehicle, and so there's also less legroom. So when I'm sitting here as a tall person, it's limited legroom. It does work for tall adults, but it's limited. And also the sitting comfort here in the rear is limited. Here with the headroom, it still fits somewhat, but gets close. But I have to say the BZ4X, if you want rear comfort and you need a lot of space, then it's rather the BZ4X and not this one here. So not the best comfort here. This is actually quite nice here with the surfacing and also the material itself, that's fine. And also when you move this one down, this here like cup holders, they will not be adaptive actually. So it's the same like in the BZ4X. So yeah, indeed, it looks a little bit like a shrunken BZ4X to me. That's very interesting. Using that EV platform here, there's no significant hump in the middle. It's a little hump here though. And you see, due to that EV platform, the floor is always a little bit higher than in, like, for example, the normal CHR, where you have more like these more accentuated foot garages, for example. And now to check out the trunk. Maybe he leaves me out again. There we go. So now it's boot time. So let me just check out. Yeah, there we go. It will be 420 liters. Tension is rising. There we go. Thank you so much for the effort.
Dramatic.
There we go. There we go. So this is the boot and 420 liters. We have this segmentation here so that you have an even loading floor, but you can, for example, put a cable underneath. That would still fit, and then take the measurements very quickly. Here the normal length is about 90 centimeters, so a little bit less than 14, it's like maybe like 37 inches, something like that. And the width here is a meter or 40 inches there, a little bit closer there, and wider than towards the arches. And the height, well, we would need to take this one here out for that. This will also be looking different in the final version here, by the way. Yeah, and then of course, as soon as we can drive the car, we can tell you more about also loading through and everything of that. By the time we are shooting this review, the prices are officially not out yet, but considering that the Urban Cruiser, the smaller one, starts at around 30,000 euros and the bigger one, the BZ4X, at around 50,000 euros, I guess this would be somewhat in between, like it is also size-wise, so about 40,000 euros in the entry. We'll later on see about that. Looking forward to your feedback about the EV version of the CHR here. Tell me in the comments. And now compare the smaller and the bigger brother.